our district. Where hotel is like in a safe and nice area, but it's like more a business kind of business park with the companies having their offices here and there in these buildings. And once again, to repeat, tomorrow we are leaving at 9 a.m. with the local guide, and please bring your whispers with you. And for tonight's dinner, we are leaving at 6:30 p.m. Okay?
Did she say starting her walk from the road on her tour plan or taking the bus?
The main course. So that is that, and yes, for the starter it's either like a mixed salad, like a green salad, or a beef broth with semolina dumpling. This beef broth, I don't know if you like fancy those like soups, but it's really like a clear soup as we call it. It's very tasty, and the semolina dumplings in that way made of semolina is all very like traditional German food. The thing is that they were so influential in using semolina for this type of dumplings that it kind of spread across whole Europe from Germany and from the German influence. So, for example, my country was partially a part of Austro-Hungarian Empire in the like 18th, 19th century until the end of the First World War. So. Germany was of course influenced by Germany was of course influencing Austria, because they're kind of in a part of the same cultural package. So we have this kind of German tradition, and for example my grandmother, she was very well versed in making semolina dumplings, as it was tradition coming from the Germanic cultures. So it's something that really all the kind of ladies in the households made by hand, and every Sunday you will have some kind of broth that are either made from chicken or from beef with this type of a dumpling. So for every Sunday meal, it was like the day for a family meal at a time. You would start your kind of food and your lunch with the soup, or you can just choose a salad, either way. So it's really up to you. So whatever you fancy, but yeah, this is but really anything what you choose, it's going to be really tasty, as it is a very nice restaurant. So.
He was thinking of the food.
Yeah. No, but he doesn't have where to park, so I bring him like a box of dinner.
Oh.
So he cannot join us.
Yeah.
Yes, we will be in the city center. There is no parking for coaches, and
yeah, that's right.
he has to go all the way back. So not a good option, but either way, it's fine. We'll park behind the theater. Okay. And pick up same place. Okay. I send you a message when we are done.
Each move is calculated based on geometry. Just chilling. This
Pescata, Iglesia Católica.
break a few bones.
So this is one of the main kind of city center streets in Munich, and soon we will be turning right, and that is going to be our drop-off area, which is the closest to the city center and to our restaurant where we are headed. So that's also going to be the same stop tomorrow for the sightseeing tour. But you can see here a lot of like luxury shops, both on the right and on the left hand side. So all the high-end brands are like in this street.
but we're just here blinded by the luxury over here, so literally. Okay, so we will turn here and we go from the coach and then walk like 5 minutes, okay? So I will take out my little pink umbrella that you already know, and we will walk together to the restaurant. So we're going to go straight down there, further down. And Mr. Robert is going to leave us here. Okay.
35
Okay. All the way here, okay. Yeah. I got you fish and salad. And I don't know if I said dessert, but I don't know if they put dessert, but either way.
Do we have the black? Or the, I think we have the black.
Oh yeah.
can be traced back to the fact that at that time they only produced aircraft engines. The first car, and it was not even produced in Munich, BMW made was in 1928 in a small factory in East Germany in Eisenach. Only after the Second World War they came back to Munich. BMW had always been in existence also in the Second World War times, but then they again only produced aircraft engines. The cars were produced in East Germany. After the Second World War, in the end of the 1950s, everything came to Munich. So and here now you get a better view of our Olympic Tower. And where you see the brownish windows, that's the revolving restaurant. And above it is a view platform, and from where you can not only see the whole city of Munich, but also the Alps. The Austrian, Swiss, partly also the Italian, and of course the Bavarian Alps. Before the Second World War broke out, the Olympic grounds were used for exercising for our troops, Bavarian Army. Then during the Second World War and shortly after the Second World War, when Munich was liberated by the Americans, then the Americans used it as an airport, a small airport for small planes, until the museum I was talking about. And ahead of us now, just have a look at the beautiful, very impressive architecture of BMW World. And behind BMW World on the right hand side is the former Olympic Village, where all the athletes were accommodated. And unfortunately we can't see it. There are bungalows just behind BMW World where the female athletes were accommodated, and in the higher buildings, which we can see on the right hand side, the men. And these are the higher buildings, are condominiums now, and already immediately after the Olympics were over, the people who had bought these apartments were enabled to move in immediately afterwards. So they were already sold before the Olympics. Imagine that small studios are really very popular and most demanded, so these are really the most expensive. But here now, have a look, isn't that gorgeous? And on the first floor they show you all the motorbikes. On the ground floor are the cars. You can even see a Rolls Royce, because BMW is also shareholder of Rolls Royce and mini cars. But they are not, mini cars are not produced here in Munich, nor is the Rolls Royce. There are factories in Great Britain. So, and here now on the left hand side, the Olympic grounds. The hall you see on the left hand side was used as the boxing hall when the Olympics were carried out until last year. There was an ice rink in there, but they have built a new hall where they also. And Munich is the only city where she gives concerts, 10 of them in August. And it's in the east of Munich. They built a special stadium, or arena as they call it nowadays, for Adele. And that arena takes 80,000 spectators. So, and here now, just have a look to your left. You get a good view of the Olympics in 17th century when they started to build the castle. Bavaria at that time was a prince electorate, and it was ruled by Prince Elector Ferdinand Maria. And Ferdinand Maria was married to an Italian princess called, right, yes, called Adelaide. These two were married without knowing each other when both were only 14 years old. They did not know each other, and Adelaide only came to Munich when she was nearly 16. Terribly disappointed of Munich, which was so provincial. She came from Torino, she was used to festivities going on, and in Munich nothing happened at the court. It was just going to mass and being religious all the time. And she was also disappointed of her husband, who was just 1 week older than herself, a child like her. And so it's no wonder that these two did not have children for 10 years. Then in 1659, a girl was born, but for the succession of the throne, they needed a boy. But that year, 1659, both made a vow. She said, in case of the birth of a son, I am going to build Munich's most beautiful Italian high baroque church in the center of town. And he said, and if you get a boy, then I'm going to buy a huge piece of land for you where you can build an Italian villa and maybe you feel a little happier in this cold provincial Munich. 3 years later, in 1662, Max Emanuel, the long-desired son, was born. In 1663, the foundation stone for Munich's most beautiful Italian high baroque church was laid, and in 1664 for the castle of Nymphenburg. But it needed 5 generations and more than 100 years, then to the right, and more than 100 years until the castle of Nymphenburg was completed. And that tells you it's a huge complex. The oldest part, of course, is the former Italian villa. You can recognize it immediately because there is a staircase leading up to the very impressive stony hall, the big hall in the castle. And in that hall, you see, we are not going to go into the palace, but I'll just describe it to you. On the ceiling, there are paintings showing the Roman goddess Flora, goddess of flowers, nature, and spring, and she was always surrounded by beautiful young girls called nymphs. And that gave the name to the castle of Nymphenburg. B-U-R-G means castle. And so, the long-desired son, Max Emanuel, added cubic buildings on the right and left-hand side. Then the side wings, where we have museums inside now, were added in the course of the 100 years. And here it's no wonder he had the most beautiful ladies of his time painted. And amongst them is a very famous one, Lola Montes. I don't know if you have heard of her. She pretended to be Spanish, but she was an Irish girl. A dancer who had given performances all over Europe at the big theaters, and always she left scandals behind. And she had to leave these cities during the night, and only with the help of Franz Liszt she came to Munich. So and here now just have a look, isn't that a sight? And here you see the everything here is built in a semicircle on the left and right hand side. You see these outstanding Chevalier's houses, the yellow houses, which were added in the 18th century. On the right hand side is also the Nymphenburg porcelain manufacture, which is still active.
Und hier liegt so ein Teppich und dann haben wir hier so einen Platz, wo wir dann zusammen sein können. Und es ist jetzt doch nicht. Das ist ganz. Nein, bitte. Da können wir
soll ich nicht? Warum soll ich denn nicht?
Habe ich nicht, mein Bruder, die ganze Zeit. Er ist voll verstanden.
Habe ich gesagt, 5 Minuten. Danke, Schatz, dir auch. Nee, da habe ich gesehen, die Weste. Ja, wir haben Fotos gemacht von Weste. Und mir heute Zeit meistens gemacht. Ich habe so gemacht.
Life. Meanwhile, we know between 60 to 70 million people died during that war. Within 6 years only, and 6 million Jewish people were killed. Then in 1945, same year when the war was over, Germany was occupied by the Allies. In the west it was occupied by the French, in the north by the British, in the east by the Soviets, and luckily down here in the south it was the Americans. And thanks to the very clever and generous Marshall Plan, it was possible to have everything rebuilt within a decent period of time. Then in May 1949, West Germany was founded, then consisting of 11 federal states. West Germany had to look for a new capital, which became Bonn, then a little town on the river Rhine. And in October 1949, East Germany, the German Democratic Republic, was founded, and they could keep the eastern part of the city of Berlin, which was occupied by the Soviets anyway, as their capital. The rest of the city of Berlin, which has always been situated in East Germany, geographically spoken, and so the rest of Berlin was occupied by the Americans, French and the British. And then in 1990, 9th of November, the wall in Berlin fell, as you all know, and since 1990 Germany is reunified, and ever since that time Germany consists of 16 federal states again, and Berlin has become our capital again. So here now we are approaching the city center. We are on Nymphenburger Straße, which used to be the direct connection between the former winter residence of the Wittelsbach family in the city center and the summer palace. The Wittelsbachs moved out to their summer residence, which you just saw, in May, and they stayed in Nymphenburg until the end of September approximately. And it took them always a full day to move from the winter quarter to the summer quarter, because they were always accompanied by up to 2,000 people, relatives. And here on the left-hand side is a lovely beer garden, nice restaurant which belongs to the brewery. We have 6 big breweries in Munich, and the oldest one is the Augustinian Brewery, which was founded by Augustinian monks already in 1328. And according to beer drinkers, it's the best beer you can drink in Munich. And we have lots of restaurants also in the city center. Have a look. When you see Augustiner Bräu, Bräu means brewery, and the name of the restaurant above the entrance door to the restaurant, then you can be sure that the food is also good. Because for about 100 years, the Augustinian Brewery has been in the hands of the same family, and they are very fussy about who is allowed to serve the Augustinian beer. And I have to come back to beer drinkers. I never drink beer, so I can't tell you if it's true or not. But beer drinkers say Lauenbrau beer is the worst beer you can drink in Munich.
Un negrito, dice Lauenbrau, esa es la marca de mejor cerveza.
Can you see if this square is open? closed? Let's see. So ahead of us, we can already see one of Munich's most beautiful squares. It's the Royal Square, which was built under King Ludwig I. No, it's closed.
I can drive.
To the left. Then we go to the left. So anyway, we can't get on the square as usual. It's crazy. There must be some festival going on tonight, but we don't know.
Free show.
Yeah, gentlemen, aren't you enchanted by the lady? Anyway, here ahead of us, where you see that pretty lady, that is the copy of the entrance gate to the Acropolis in Athens. The whole square is built in the new Greek style. And it was built under King Ludwig I, who ruled here from 1825 to 48. But have a look, at least. In the distance, you can see the Glyptothek. It's a museum with a wonderful collection of Greek and Roman statues. Busts. Opposite is the antiques collection with Etruscan, Roman and Greek jewelry and porcelain. On the left-hand side, the very pretty villa you just saw is the so-called Lenbach Villa. It was owned by a very famous and influential painter, portrait painter, Lenbach, who lived here by the end of the 19th, beginning of the 20th century. After his death in 1903, he gave the villa as a present to the city of Munich, and they made a gallery, a painting gallery out of it, with mainly paintings of the Blue Rider Circle. It was a loose alliance of painters who formed that circle in 1911. They were the first ones who painted abstract. Here on the left-hand side, that huge building stretching all the way to the left is our Technical University, which was founded in 1867. And the University in Munich belongs to the four best universities in the world. In fact, it's the fourth best university in the world. And we have more than 100,000 students here. That modern building, here, the building behind the modern building on the right-hand side used to be Hitler's seat when he was in Munich. And a little further down on the right-hand side was the building where the National Socialistic Party was accommodated. The modern building is the Egyptian Museum. This part on the right-hand side is our movie academy. You can study film there. On the left-hand side, you see the old Pinakothek, also founded by Ludwig I, who ruled here from 1825 to 48. It's one of the best and leading painting galleries in the world, with paintings from the 13th to the 18th century. On the left-hand side as well, the Pinakothek of Modern Art, which was opened in 2002. They have paintings of the 20th and 21st century. Then we go up. No, we can't. We go down. And paintings of the 20th and 21st century, but it's also our Museum of Design and Architecture. So, and here now, that huge complex on the right, after the traffic lights, on the right-hand side, stretching all the way up to the next street to the right, used to be the Gestapo headquarters. But they were blown up. Nothing is original anymore. When the Americans liberated Munich on the 30th of April 1945. Now the whole, we can go up. Now the whole complex is owned by the Bavarian National Bank. This here on the right hand side was the Siemens Museum, but now, you know, various offices are accommodated in there. And now we come to one of Munich's most beautiful streets, namely Ludwigstraße, named after King Ludwig I, as he had built it in the purest new Renaissance Florentine style. Also, most of the buildings are rebuilt because they were destroyed during the war, but they were rebuilt in the original style. And here now, when we cross the street, have a look to your right, because there you see the Hall of Generals, which is a copy of the Loggia dei Lanzi in Florence. Can you see it? Dedicated to two generals, and the Yellow Church. Maybe you remember I told you that Adelaide, the Italian princess who could not have a son for such a long time, had made a vow that in case of the birth of a son, she would build Munich's most beautiful Italian high Baroque church. And that's the foundation stone was laid in 1663. And on the square in front of the loggia of the Hall of Generals, Hitler's notorious march from the Bürgerbräu Keller, which is a beer hall in the old city of Munich, he marched down with 2,000 followers to the historical Odeon Square, as we call it, but there he was stopped by the Bavarian state police, and that happened on the 9th of November 1923, when he had tried to overthrow the Bavarian government. On the left-hand side, you see the American Consulate General, which has the most beautiful location of all consulates in Munich, by the English Garden on the left-hand side. On the right-hand side, we go up, Prince Regent's. Yeah, yeah. On the right-hand side, you can see a beautifully restored cupola. It was restored in the 1980s, 1990s, because before the war it accommodated the Army Museum, but it was completely destroyed, and for a long time it remained a ruin. And then they decided that it had to become the seat of the Bavarian President of Ministers. That's what we call our boss in Bavaria. They added two new wings on both sides of the restored cupola, and as I said, now it's the seat of the Bavarian President. So here now we are on Prince Regent Street, named after Prince Regent Luitpold, who was Ludwig II's uncle and successor. He ruled here from 1886 to 1912 until he died. On the left-hand side, the House of Art, which was opened in 1937, which means it was also inaugurated by Hitler, and it was used for exhibiting only paintings the National Socialists loved. Now, after the whole horror of National Socialism has been with objects of from 2000 years. On the left-hand side as well, the equestrian statue of Prince Regent Luitpold, who was Ludwig II's successor. So, and here now we are going to cross the river Isar, I-S-A-R, which waters Munich. And high above the river Isar, you're going to see one of Munich's most beautiful Art Nouveau monuments. It's the Angel of Peace monument, which was put up in 1896, and it commemorates 25 years of peace. In that time, for a change, Bavaria was not involved in any wars. Here now, soon you're going to see the statue high above the river. Here the river. And here now, and then to the right, Maximilianstraße to the Opera House. Here now we have arrived at Bogenhausen, which is one of Munich's most exclusive and most expensive quarters. But it's also our oldest. It was already known to the Romans who were here. Old money lives here. You know, people have always been rich. But here the very big villas, like the one ahead of us, that is the people, the owners sold because the maintenance was too expensive. Now it's owned by a bank. What else? So and here now on the left hand side you see that brickstone building soon coming up. This here now on the left, that was the villa where Mr. Röntgen used to live. Röntgen was the inventor of the X-rays. Nobel Prize winner, and he lived here, you know, by the end of the 19th, beginning of the 20th century. And at that time, Munich was one of the most important intellectual centers in Europe. Albert Einstein lived here. You know Albert Einstein. He was not born in Munich, but in Ulm, but his uncle had founded the first electrical company in Munich. And he was so successful that he asked his brother, father of Albert Einstein, to move to Munich to support him. And according, you know, if it's true or not, we are not quite sure, but Albert Einstein screwed the first bulbs into the beer tents on the Oktoberfest. He was a very bad pupil, student at school, and the teachers always said he's too stupid to go to university, but you see what can come out, here to the right, what can come out of a young boy when he's not interested in school. But also Alzheimer, Alois Alzheimer, you know, who discovered the disease. He was here, he made his studies and research work at one of the many hospitals we have got here in Munich. So it was full. Also the most important painters, writers, they all lived here. And here now, have a look to your left. Again, see, located high above the river Isar. So and here now we cross the river Isar again. And if you look to the left, you can see the square tower and the green roofs. That is the Deutsche Museum, German museum, which was opened in 1925, and it's the world's biggest technological and scientific museum. Here now we cross the Isar Canal, and ahead of us we can already see Maximilianstraße, another very beautiful avenue, which was built by Maximilian II, who was Ludwig II's father. And he ruled here from 1848 to 64. And his statue you can see in the center of the square. He died as a pretty young man, just 53 years old, and he had left a totally unprepared son, namely Ludwig II, who was 18 and a half years old when he became Museum of the Five Continents. It's an ethnological museum. And here on the right and left hand side, ahead of us, we have the old city ring road, which really cuts Maximilianstraße into two halves. And the half ahead of us is Munich's most expensive shopping street. Ladies, have a look. But only look. Because, you know, within a couple of minutes or seconds you can spend thousands of dollars or euros. But look at the names. It's haute couture, as we call it, you know. Giorgio Armani, here on the left, Christian Dior, soon on the right hand side, Valentino. here on the right-hand side is Munich's most traditional and oldest deluxe hotel, Hotel 4 Jahreszeit, 4 Seasons, Kempinski, which was already founded in 1885. Down here on the left-hand side is the Hofbräuhaus. Ahead of us on the right-hand side is the Opera House. Opera House. Look at that.
американцы через процесс неправильного судейства при игрок подписан и было бы и 5.
Hadi beştek machen, fertig.
Ah ja, stimmt. Da, die zweite. Diese Umhänge. Das stimmt, ja. Da ist eine. Da ist eine zweite. Also die brauchen wir 17 haben, ist das vielleicht. Wobei hast du die Quartalszahlen verfolgt? Cuatro.
Estos son de 6 segundos segundo. 4 segundos.
خد بالك احمد بص هتلاقي فيه الالوان يعني هنا اللون الفضي مع الازرق مع لا اللون بتاع الام
انت الموتور كله عربيه فيه
ها
الموتور كله عربيه فيهم
ايوه انت لا اقصد اقول لك شايف انت حتى الحاجه
Esto es lo que tiene mi carro.
2005.
ازيك يا مين؟
Es el Fórmula 1, dice que es el motor de la Fórmula 1.
سلامتك
كويس
سلامتك يا حبيبي
بقول لك ايه
سلام.
الموتور ده قدك كده 2005
Luego sí. Fórmula 1.
Tu carro, el negro. PS. Und schneller als der Weiße. 20 PS
Torbadan alalım.
Este es nuevo modelo. Esse nem não conhece.
Uma faixinha pra casa. E ó, tendência aqui nos carros daqui.
Não sei por.